All right, it seems like it's 1 o'clock. Let's get started. Thank you guys for joining us today. We are so excited to have you. My name is Kimberly Broussard.
My name is Nathan Bornaba.
And our lovely producer, Tara Gallup, she's going to be monitoring chats and letting us know what you're sharing in there, your thoughts and your ideas. So we're going to talk about an imbalanced work life today. And we've got a great hour for you guys. So I know in our series 1, we kind of asked you some questions. And if you answered yes to any of those questions, you might have an unbalanced life. So we're going to talk about what causes an imbalanced life and what are the signs, and we're going to talk about some strategies to help you with identifying how to get your life balanced. So we want to hear from you guys. We want you to share. So at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see the chat button. Please make sure in the 2-part that you are selecting all panelists and attendees. That way, everybody can see what you're typing in chat, okay? So here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the signs of an imbalanced life, and we're going to talk about, okay, what are some strategies that you can do to combat that burnout? So we talked a little bit in series 1 about some of the signs. I have a little bit more of those signs for you. So do you find yourself feeling overwhelmed? Do you have trouble focusing? Are you finding that you're neglecting your health? You're canceling those doctor's appointments. You're not getting out and exercising or eating healthy. Do you find that there's a lack of motivation there? Then that is just some of the signs of an unbalanced life. And we're going to talk about the causes of that. And one of the causes that we're going to talk about is burnout.
So since we have all of the information about the signs of an unbalanced life, burnout is actually, they kind of go hand in hand. So for burnout, for me, it's when I kind of feel unmotivated. I don't want to do anything. I'm tired all the time. And I have a feeling of not being able to catch a break. So I know it's kind of hard to give our own official definitions, but I want to know, chat, and you as well, Kim, what is your definition of burnout? How can you communicate it?
Well, I know that my definition of burnout is when I cannot push myself anymore. I don't know about you guys, but Nathan, do you guys find yourselves staring at a screen for at least 2 to 3 minutes and you're just like, you can't push it, you can't think straight? It's like you are at a dead wall. You're right at the end of the road and you're like, I cannot push it. That's my definition of burnout. It's when I can't push myself anymore.
Mm-hmm. That I've definitely felt that way a few times, so I can relate.
Tara, what are you finding in chat? What are some of the definitions?
So Marilyn says she has problems remembering to drink water and walk around when working on her course site, answering emails, etc. Christy says it's when she finds herself staring at the screen and not actually seeing it. Me too. Susan says when everything frustrates her. Jade, when you cannot catch a break. People looking for excuses not to not go to work, and the moment that they just stop caring. We're getting a lot here, and I think burnout is something that we can all feel in different ways.
I like that. So since we have our definition of burnout, what are some things that can cause burnout, whether it's personal or work related? And of course, I'll go first. Me, it's whenever I take too much projects on at once. I notice that I start to spread myself too thin and I don't have time to debrief or decompress. And that's when those emotions start hitting me, when I'm tired and I can't concentrate. How does it feel for you, Kim?
When I have a lot on my plate, or when I working in a chaotic or high pressure environment, that's some of the causes of my burnout. When I push myself and take on too much and I start to feel overwhelmed, that's when I know, okay, yeah, that is definitely a cause of my burnout. That's when I'm looking at that screen with that blank face. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I don't know what to put. What do you have in chat, Tara?
We've got just life in general. And yes, it absolutely can pile up. Also a stressful job. And Mira, excuse me, says unfulfilling things that don't fill your purpose. And Cody says not knowing how to say no.
Ooh, that I agree with that one. And you know, so many things can cause burnout, and it's just not work-related situations. Sometimes, you know, there's lifestyle causes of burnout. Like, you know, when you're working too much and you don't have time to socialize or, you know, spend time with your friends and your family. You know, even that, you know, not getting enough sleep. That can also cause burnout when you have that lack of sleep.
And I'm glad you said that, Kim, because there's one thing, working remotely, losing the personal connections, like having those go-to people in office, that led to me being burnt out because I didn't have those people to be social with. So I felt a disconnect.
Yeah. So now that we talked a little bit about burnout, now I want to talk about, okay, what are the signs? What are the signs that you notice about yourself when you're getting burnt out? Nathan, do you identify some signs when you're burnt out?
Yeah, so me, I start to get impatient. I'm very timid. Like, so somebody could give me feedback and it could be like nice feedback, but just because I'm emotional at the moment and burnt out, I take it the wrong way. And that's kind of how I know. It's like, okay, you need to take a deep breath, take a chill pill and just relax because I know that it's coming in the right way, but because I'm burnt out, because I'm emotional, I know that where it's coming from. It's stemming from that burnout.
Right. I know that some of the signs that I notice about myself is that I don't have any energy, and I cannot concentrate for the life of me. Like, I am just all over the place and I cannot concentrate on one thing or anything. I can't concentrate on anything. There's lack of concentration all around. What about you guys? What are some signs that you notice about yourself that you're getting burnt out? Tara, do you have anything in chat?
Yeah, we've got lethargy, tired all the time with an I don't care attitude, emotion levels, frustration is high, headaches even. So we have some physical factors that play in there, production decreases, all of these things, withdrawal, and of course, sleep. Everybody keeps commenting on the sleep. They agree with you there.
And so whenever you guys identify, okay, you see the signs, you start to feel the signs coming through. Do you guys ignore the signs and try to push through, or you listen to your body? And Nathan, that question is for you guys in chat as well as you, Nathan.
I'm guilty because I ignore the signs and sometimes it could be too late. And the thing about the signs, it's like, I kind of make a pact with myself. I'm like, if I get through this, then I could chill. Or I notice that I kind of guilt myself to deal with that. And that's not the most healthiest. And I'm glad I'm here today because I can learn some tips.
Yeah, right. I try and listen to my body only because I've been in burnout before and it's not fun. It's a difficult road to rejuvenate yourself. And so I try to listen to my body so I don't get there. And so, you know, I try to listen to those warning signs. What about you guys in chat? Tara, what do you have for us?
Almost everybody says ignore the signs and push through, of course. We have, let's see, Vicky says she takes off, especially when headaches occur. So kudos to you, Vicky. Sleep instead of, so she's taking the time and sleeping those off. And yeah, most people saying they ignore them because that little bit turns out to be a lot if they don't push through.
Okay, so my question is, I guess my next question is, okay, so Nathan, since you do ignore the signs, can you tell me what would be the negative impact of ignoring those warning signs?
It makes it worse. in the long run, I'm making a sacrifice for my own personal feelings, but dealing with that burnout, that in the end, it's just worse. I feel worse. And I know in the moment I'm thinking that I'm being productive by getting work done, but in the end, it's not worth it, because my battery is like at 0%.
No, so you're basically you're saying I'm not giving my 100%. I'm not
Yeah.
on full alert.
It's like extended. I'm less productive. It just, in the long run, I suffer.
Okay. And I wonder if everybody's different. Tara, are you getting some feedback in the chat?
Yeah, most of the people agree that there's consequences of your own health. But they notice that when they push through, it becomes too much, and they separate themselves from others. That's from Keisha. And Monica said that she recognizes when those signs are there and tries to correct them. And having support system support system plays a factor when there's someone to help you recognize it and reboot. And yeah, several people, look, Cody even says you may accomplish the goal by pushing through, but your health is at expense, and it takes longer to bounce back if you keep running too long on empty.
I agree with that. And it's so true that we don't think that when we're pushing ourselves and through those signs, those warning signs, when we're pushing ourselves, we are making ourselves decreasing our immune system. So we're at an increased risk for illnesses. So it's important for us to keep that in mind, because, under that constant pressure and ignoring those warning signs can have an effect on not only our mental health, but our physical health as well.
Yeah. So there's actually two categories of signs when it comes to burnout: behavioral and emotional. So a behavioral sign for me is I find myself isolating from people. And one thing I enjoy about the weekends is being social. So I'll just go into my little bubble and watch Netflix all weekend, not text back people. And that's how I know that that's another sign that I do. I just noticed that I don't like personal connection at the time. Do you have one that you notice, Kim?
Oh, yes, I do. And for those of you that in chat, I want you to put in, of the signs that you've identified, tell me which are behavioral. And some of them, one of the behavioral ones that I identified about myself is procrastinating. I'm taking longer to get things done. And it's because I'm staring at the screen. That's why it's taking me so long to accomplish what I'm doing. Another behavioral sign as well is, do you find yourself, skipping work or coming in late or, wanting to leave early? That's also a behavioral sign of burnout. So Tara, what do you have in chat?
Yeah, so they're saying the same thing, saying they become irritable, they tend to withdraw. Cody says procrastination, frustration. Mary says she gets so focused on the big tasks that she's procrastinating on, and then ends up feeling so guilty about not getting them done that she can't even get the little things done.
I am with her on that.
Yeah.
So that's me. That's me.
Me too. And I'll tell you, just me personally, I am the one that when I get so overwhelmed and stressed out, I shut down and don't do anything, even like picking up, a pair of socks off the floor.
Yeah, it gets there sometimes. It definitely could take us there. And that's why it's important to recognize those signs, because that's like your warning.
So we talked a little bit about those behavioral signs, and, burnout also has emotional signs that can show, within you. So some emotional signs of burnout that I feel is self-doubt, or that sense of failure. Like, that guilt, like Tara said in the comments, feeling guilty because, I'm procrastinating on it and I just can't push myself anymore. I start to feel guilty and feel like a failure, like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not giving 110%. And, I start to feel defeated.
Mhm.
So what emotional signs do you feel, Nathan?
I would say self-doubt, and also it's kind of like, it's not a sense of failure, but it's like this voice in my head is telling me I should get something done.
Mhm.
And I noticed that once I finish a task, I don't take the time to celebrate it or like check it off my list. It's like I'm not satisfied with it. Even though I did a great job on something, I don't give myself a high five or treat myself. I'm just like, like pooped out because I'm so drained.
Mm. Tara, what are you getting in chat?
Perfectionist problems, a lot of crying, definitely. And something that Michael had added earlier that a lot of people are agreeing with, I feel like I need to bring up. He says that supervisors must look for the signs in their employees because life may be the challenge for some, and watching and interpreting, and I'm just going to add, and doing something to help them is key.
Oh, I love that. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, but I do feel that it's important for supervisors to see those warning signs in their employees. And, I also feel like it's important for us to acknowledge those signs as well and be aware of those signs. Because I am definitely a crier. And if I'm to the point where I'm here. And so if I'm here, then I'll procrastinate, and I feel so bad about myself that I'm crying because I do feel like a failure. And it is tough if you are a perfectionist and you want to produce high quality work and make sure that it's great. It's a lot of pressure that perfectionists put on themselves, and it's not necessarily coming from a family member or your supervisor. It's the pressures that you put on yourself.
Mhm. And just to touch on that, something that helped me, Kim, is with that pressure that I put on myself. It's like I have a conversation with myself. I tell myself, like, you're exactly where you need to be. The pressure shouldn't be there, even though you want to be perfect. Everything's going to work out. Like, you have no type of, there's no expectations for your work. That's what I tell myself, and that helped my thought process a lot much better, and that helped me with that self-talk, because now I know that I'm doing it. I'm doing exactly what I need to do. There's no right or wrong expectation that I should feel.
Right. It's having that grace, giving yourself that
Give
grace,
yourself grace.
and that positive. When I'm overwhelmed or stressed, I find that negative self-talk is what I start to do in my head. And so it's important for me to, change my mindset.
So burnout and stress actually go hand in hand. So what happens is stress leads to burnout. Whenever you are extended with stress, that's when that burnout comes. So it's good to know the signs so that you can stop yourself from getting burnout. And I know it's kind of hard to put into words. Chad and Kim, what is your definition of stress? And I'll go first. When I'm stressed, I just feel overwhelmed. It's kind of like my back is against the wall and I can't really get time to breathe for myself or decompress. I notice that I just feel stuck. How do you feel?
To me, the definition of stress is anything that causes me anxiety or some tension. So that's what stress is to me. And so, when I think about anything that gives me that anxiety, that's going to lead to stress for me. And so usually it's something similar than when I talk about burnout. It's when I have too much on my plate. If I have too much on my plate, that's when my anxiety level starts to be its highest. Tara, what are you finding in chat?
So I'm seeing the words overwhelmed repeated several times. We also say, I'm sorry, Michael says muscle tension. Patricia says being short-tempered and angry for no reason. Being anxious and overwhelmed. There's that overwhelmed again. So, oh, look, Christy says it's the way my body responds to physical and emotional strain.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
like that, Christy. Yep.
Yeah. So what are some things that can cause stress? Audience, Kim, I know for me, it's being under pressure,
Mm-hmm.
taking on too many projects at once. Like I work better under pressure, but when it's too much, I notice that I can crack. And not knowing the outcome of a project or something, like whenever I have to pitch an idea to someone, not knowing the outcome, that stresses me out big time.
Mm.
What about
Something
you?
that causes me stress is worrying about something that I don't have any control over.
Yes.
And I have to keep telling myself and talking to myself and saying, is this something you have control over? If you don't, let it go. Let it go. Because so much I want to have control over an outcome and I don't have any control. And so that's something that I definitely have to work on that does cause me stress. I'm an overthinker. I'm a worrier. I will worry about something that I would think of something in my head that might not even happen. And that causes me stress, is worrying, just worrying about something. And yeah.
And we've got a lot of different things that can cause stress. And it almost makes me feel stressed thinking about all these things for you guys. Myra says there are some things that stress helps her accomplish, but sometimes it causes her to shut down. Then we get to the list of things, right? So job, multiple deadlines, anything, everything, nothing, overall health, saying yes to everybody and everything, constantly changing directions. A lot of people are agreeing with you, Kim, saying that you're right on with the no control causing stress. Susan says feeling that she's let a colleague down. And then Michelle said, and sometimes we try to take it back and let it go again, right, Kim?
Right, right. Oh, I love the one that said letting a colleague down. That's another one that causes me stress. Is the disappointing my coworkers. That causes me stress at will. So that was a good one. That was a trigger. That was a trigger. So we talked about, okay, hey, this is what stress is. We talked about the causes. Now, what are the signs? What are the signs of stress? And it could be something that you've identified for burnout. It could be the same type of signs. So if you said any of those, you put those in chat, or if you have any new ones. But I know for me, and I'll have you answer as well, Nathan, is that one of the signs is depression or anxiety. That anxiety for me, that's when I know that I am getting stressed, and I have trouble sleeping because I'm going through all of the things that I'm stressed about in my mind. And so it causes me to lie awake and worry about those things.
Yeah.
What about you, Nathan?
I would say stress, not stress, increased anxiety. That is a big one for me. And also just the sleeping thing, because sometimes I'll be tired and I won't be able to go to sleep or concentrate on things that I'm working on. Maybe I'm trying to have fun and decompress, but I'm so stressed out that I can't, and I'm not emotionally present. So I remember a few months ago, I went to a birthday party, for one of my nephews, and I couldn't concentrate because I was so stressed out. And it wasn't until after that I took some time to process that I was overly stressed and I wasn't able to live in the moment.
And talking about living in the moment, or me stressing about things that I have no control. Well, I do have a control. I don't know if I do, but I had a dream the other day. My biggest fear is my alarm not going off and being late. That's my biggest fear. And so I had a dream that I overslept and missed a class. And so I woke up at 4 a.m. and didn't go back to sleep because I was scared that dream was going to come true and I was going to miss my class. So I made sure to stay up that entire day. And I had to talk to myself and it's like, that was, you set your alarm, you have measures in place to where it won't happen. You can't stress about those things. Tara, what are you getting in chat?
Yeah, some real life signs here. So we'll start off with Patricia saying looking and feeling tired. Myra added anxiety. Jared added body ache and headaches. We have procrastination. Monica added weight loss or weight gain. Being not emotionally present. We felt that one, Nathan. And then Monica says worrying and emotional eating is real.
Yes, I am a stress eater. So if you're, passing by my desk and you see 3 bags of chips at my desk and a Coke, that means don't knock on the cube door. It means it's bad. So we talked about, all right, the signs of stress, and we talked about the signs of burnout. We talked about both of them. And so I'm sure that you guys are wondering, okay, what's the difference? Nathan, can you tell us what's the difference? What do you think the difference is?
So I feel like stress involves taking on too much. You might take on too many projects, or you have too many irons in the fire. And I feel like burnout is not enough. So you're not giving enough for your work, your projects, and you're just like staying stagnant. So both in relation, I feel like if you are overly stressed, you're going to lead to burnout. So stress is like level 1 and burnout is level 2. So once you see yourself at level 1, you might want to back up and assess yourself and address that stress, because you don't want to get to burnout. It's going to be worse.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I think that stress is a symptom of burnout. So stress can lead or cause burnout. So if you ignore all those signs that we talk about in stress, about stress, that if you keep ignoring those signs, guess what? You're going to hit that brick wall, which is burnout, and you won't be able to push yourself again. So one of the things that I love that you said was burnout is not enough. It's about not enough. It's feeling empty, exhausted. You don't have any motivation. You don't care. And stress involves too much. That's when you have too many pressures, too much demand on you, both physically and mentally. That's too much. To me, that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Tara, what are you getting in chat?
Yeah, some good stuff. So Patricia says stress is when you're still working hard at working hard, but burnout, you're getting physically ill. Gabrielle says burnout is when she can't go anymore. And let's see. Myra says stress, you struggle to cope, but burnout leads to hopelessness.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. And Monica also says stress cannot be avoided sometimes, and that's true. It sometimes cannot be avoided, but burnout is something that we can work to manage.
That's correct. And stress sometimes is unavoidable, but it's how we address it and some strategies that we do to overcome it that make sure that we're on the right path and we're not taking that path to burnout.
So it seems like we all know what stress feels like. And I'm excited to ask this question because I want some new tools. So what are some tips or some things that you can do to help you reduce your stress? I'm asking audience and Kim. For me, I go for a walk. And if I'm unable to walk, I journal. I write down what I'm going through, exactly how I feel. And I noticed that when I journal, I could read it back to myself and I know exactly what it is that's stressing me out. Sometimes you have to get it out to understand like what it is that is causing you to feel the way that you are.
Something that I learned about myself with working from home was it was too easy for me to work and forget to eat lunch because I was in a zone. And so I bought myself one of those Fitbit watches. And so when it tells me when I'm not moving, to get up and move. If you don't want, if you don't have one of those devices, put it on your Outlook calendar is your best friend, putting something in there for you to get up and walk away and just take just a mental break and move away from the computer. Something else is, eliminate your triggers. Eliminate whatever is triggering you or causing you stress. Something that was causing me stress is social media. And I have kind of taken a break from social media. And I'm proud to say that I'm 4 days clean. So I am super excited, and hopefully on the 7th day, I'll get a medal for that. But I found that, social media was making me stressed. So I eliminated those triggers.
And also, I like what you said about triggers. I know sometimes it's hard to identify those triggers. And what helped me was journaling. Going back and reading it, I knew exactly where to look. And that's not always the case because your triggers aren't always like in your face. It takes some time to look. You have to search and find out, and that's okay as well.
And something else that I do want to say, and that's for people out there who focus on things that you can't control, are perfectionists, is go easy on yourself. And this is for anybody. Go easy on yourself. Make sure to focus on things that you can control. Say to yourself, is this something that I can control? And if it's not, I know it's easier said than done, but try to let it go. Try to write it down, and then take it and shred it up and then throw it in the trash. Like, you're done with it. You're releasing it. And just remember that you're not perfect. You're human. You are human. It's okay. Just please be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
So Tara, what are you hearing in chat?
Yes, and bear with me because this is a long list, but I feel like they all need some recognition because it is good stuff. So we'll start off. So we have daily task lists, listening to music, taking time to organize our day before it starts, and take a 10-minute meditation at lunchtime. Ooh. Talking to a neutral party to get advice, taking a break, keeping a journal, getting a stress box. And Patricia, I'm curious on what your stress box looks like and what you would keep in that. Let's see, take breaks. Everyone needs to get away and regroup. I have vacation, and vacation with no kids. Communicating with positive people, taking quiet time. I love this one from Keegan. Aquatic therapy, let the water remove your stress.
Ooh.
I hear prayer and music for those of you who pray. Rest, get plenty of sleep, do yard work and gardening. People are congratulating you, Kim, on your social media sobriety. And we have a resource from Michael in here, so go ahead and check that out for everyone. And definitely focusing on your accomplishments and not so much on what you are trying to accomplish. And of course, be kind to yourself.
Right. And Nathan, I know somebody said in there, breathing. Don't you have a breathing technique that you had showed us? Was it the last one series, or maybe the series before that?
I think it was the last one. So it's the box breathing technique. So we can all do it now. Inhale for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold it for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I know this is just one time, but you do it as much as possible until you feel better. And I noticed that after doing this for like 3 or 4 times, I feel stronger. If that makes sense. Like, my mind is clear, I'm more relaxed, and I feel like I can take on the world. Like, that stress level is lowered. And I don't know if you have like a Apple Watch or a Fitbit or something that'll tell you to breathe, do that. They have breathing challenges and exercises, and that definitely helps. The science behind it, I need to pull up the statistics on the science behind breathing, but it definitely helps.
That strategy that you just used for stress, that you said for that breathing, that box breathing, to me, that's something that you could use for burnout as well. Mm-hmm. And you'll find that those strategies are similar for both. And so when I think of any new things that we didn't talk about, one of them in strategies for burnout is finding the value in your work, finding what is valuable to you within your work. Anything that you can think of, Nathan?
Well, I like what you said about giving yourself grace, because I feel like whenever you're burnt out, it's hard to give 100%, but whenever you're not giving yourself grace, it's like you're draining your battery even further. So grace is my go-to.
And something else that I do want to mention, that it's okay for you to choose yourself first. So much I don't know about everybody, but I know some people find guilt in, you're missing those doctor's appointments. You're putting everything on the back burner, your health on the back burner to try to get through things. It's okay for you to choose yourself and put yourself first. It's okay to go take a break and go into those doctor's appointments. It's okay for you to go in and have a talk with your manager and said, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I know some perfectionists are like, well, I don't want them to think that I don't have it, or that, that I can't handle it. And it's okay for you to be honest with yourself and others and said, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Is there something or a strategy or something we can take off my plate at the moment? It's okay.
Mhm.
Tara, what do you have in chat?
Yeah, I think we agree with a lot of them being able to work as well. We've got a few people saying that we struggle with that and struggle with being honest with ourselves about it. Myra says remembering good times, events, and accomplishments can help kind of pull you back out of that.
Mm-hmm. Also, something else that you could do is reevaluate your priorities. What are reevaluate your priorities? So I think you guys have some good strategies. It's just about listening to those signs and actually implementing them.
Yeah.
So we've identified just a few to talk about this afternoon. And one of them is setting boundaries.
So boundaries are important for you to set for yourself because you know what you can take. You know your limits, you know what breaks you, you know it all. So when you set a boundary, it's kind of like you're taking back that control of what's stressing you out because you're setting a limit to it. So I want to know, why is it beneficial to set boundaries? And I'm gonna ask you first, Kim.
I find that it's beneficial to set those boundaries because it eliminates that burnout and or that stress to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I identified what my trigger was, that it was social media. And so I took that break from social media. If you know that, you're overworked or overwhelmed, we have to learn how to say no. And I think someone said that in the comments earlier. It's okay for you to say, I'm a little bit overwhelmed at this moment. I'm unable to add anything to my plate. Now, I know there's some things that you can't say that to. There's some things that are emergency. If it's coming from your supervisor, you can't say no. But it's for those things that you can, being honest and saying, hey, no, I can't add anything to my plate at this time.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have in chat?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Michael says it's important or beneficial because it helps you protect your own health and sanity.
Yes.
And Vicky says it eliminates taking on too much.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kim, I like what you said about you reminded me of a conversation I had with my supervisor. I was getting projects were getting packed on, and I told her how I felt, and it wasn't a bad thing. We talked about it, and she actually thanked me for talking to her about this because now she knows how to deal with me, if that makes sense. Like what works for me and what doesn't. So I do encourage y'all to have those conversations if you have a good relationship with your supervisor, because it does help. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I need help, or setting that boundary for yourself.
Right, and I think it would be beneficial because the both of them, you and your supervisor, could come up with, something to try to help, or a plan to try and help you eliminate some of that stress or that anxiety or feeling overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only important for you to talk to your supervisors, but it's also important for you to talk to anyone who you have that solid foundation of trust with, that you can go and vent to. you know, I have a go-to person, and Nathan, you know, I'll let you share who your go-to person is as well, but I have a go-to person where I go to vent. And, you know, I'll share with you guys, Nathan is my go-to person. He is my ear. And the reason that he's my go-to person is because he's not afraid to tell me or give me his perspective or let me know, hey, you were wrong in this instant. This is how you should handle it. He's not afraid to tell me the truth. And I know that the conversations that we have is under lock, it's in a vault under lock and key. I know that he's not going to, you know, go anywhere with the conversations that we're having, but it's good to let out those feelings and to release those emotions.
Mhm.
What about you, Nathan? Who's your go-to person?
So surprise, my go-to person is Kim. But and what she said was important. What I love about our conversations that we have, it's sometimes I could be blind to my own actions. And I'll tell Kim something and she'll help me realize that, you know, Nathan, you're being uneasy right now. Nathan, you know, look at it from this perspective. And that's something that I like because sometimes we can be biased. We might gripe about something, and then when we get a fresher perspective, it's like they put it in a different frame for us, and it does help.
Mhm.
It really does.
Tara, what are we getting in chat right now?
See, Michael says his wife and his cousin. Patricia says she actually uses her journals. She has a prayer journal and a poetry journal, and also uses daily devotionals. And our lovely group, Keegan says K-BAM. So that's Keegan, Brittany, Alice, and Mary, who oftentimes are all in this chat watching these webinars together. So they all understand each other and the stress from the work they do. Vicki says her counselor is her go-to and allows her to let things go and understand the other perspective.
Mm. I love that. And so I find, you know, Nathan, why do you think it's important for someone to have a venting person, someone they can vent to?
I think, like, especially in an organization, like on the same team, I feel like it's important because we all have emotions. We're human. So I know that since we're on the same team, I can call you about something and you can understand because you're going through the same thing. And it also just helps because if you think about it, we work with people for 8 hours a day. We have to have those relationships, and it really does help. Sometimes I need to process, sometimes I need to think things through, and it's good to have you right there to talk me through it. It helps.
And I also think that's another good strategy for burnout is having a friend at work.
Yes.
And relieving that stress is having a friend at work. So one of our next strategies is one of my favorites, and that's what we were talking about this afternoon before we actually began the show. We were talking about vacations, vacation places, and one of the best strategies of relieving burnout is taking a vacation. And so Nathan and I are excited about this strategy because he and I love to take vacations. So Nathan, I want to know, what is your dream vacation?
I want to go to Spain. So, well, I actually have two. I want to go to Alaska. I want to take a cruise vacation to Alaska and also cruise from Spain. I think that's like my go-to. That's what I'm looking forward to doing next year because I'm excited, y'all. I'm sorry. Like, I just love vacation, like planning. What I do is plan like a year in advance or have something to look forward to. And so next is going to probably be Spain. What about you?
Did you guys see his eyes light up when he was talking about vacations? He is excited. And so one of my dream vacations is definitely Italy. That's where I want to go. But it's important that, you know, you guys take those vacations. Now, kudos to you guys who have 3,567 hours of vacation time, but it is important for you to at least take 1 or 2 days to regroup and go and have a different change of scenery and to relax, not think about the pressures of, you know, your personal life or even work and to just have fun, enjoy, even if you don't want to take a vacation, at least do something that you love and that you enjoy doing. So Tara, what do we have in chat?
So the first thing we got on this one was Keegan saying Nathan is always traveling with a few times. But we love it. We love it. So Patricia says just a boat ride on a local lake will work for her. Keegan wants to go to the Maldives. I think it's how you say that.
Yeah, Maldives, yes.
Sandra wants to go to Greece. Cody says a month in a cabin in Vermont during the fall.
Oh,
Yeah,
a month.
nice.
Yes.
Let's see, we've got Prague, watching the leaves change. Myra likes her vacations to be broken up in like 3-day work weeks.
I like that too.
The castles in Prague. That's what Mary's dreaming of.
What about you, Tara? What's your favorite?
So I actually was typing a chat back to Sandra. My dream was to go to Greece, and I was blessed to accomplish that in 2019. So I'm still coming up on my next dream, but I did decide, and this may be a good idea for the rest of you. I decided I'm going to make a point to go out of the country every 5 years. And I'm going to start with my 25th year. Spoiler alert, I'm still pretty young, but I'm going to start with my 25th year. And with that, I'm going to go every 5 years. So it'll be a big birthday, big trip, and it'll force me to take those dream vacations that I keep wanting to do.
I love it. I love that goal. I think I'm going to do it myself. Thank you, Tara.
And it's enough time to save up, enough time to plan.
I like that.
So those were just a few strategies, and you guys have a whole bunch of them in chat on what you need to do to get out of burnout, those strategies you need to get out of burnout. Now, if there's anything that you take away from this particular webinar today for this series, it's the things that this is what you need to do for burnout. One, it's the 3 R's. So the first R is you want to watch out for those warning signs. Recognize what those warning signs are. Then you want to release those emotions by seeking support, talking to someone, and venting. And then rebuild by taking care of your physical and your emotional health. So you want to recognize, release, and rebuild. And when you're releasing, seeking that support, also I think about Nathan's box breathing, Nathan?
Box breathing.
That what he just taught you guys in regards to that breathing. Because I know just with the one that we just did, I started to feel a little bit, not strong, like you said, but I started to feel a little bit at ease. So you want to recognize, release, and rebuild. Any closing thoughts, Nathan?
Well, I want to touch on this because it's something that I dealt with stress. You're gonna have like many stressful things. And that's perfectly fine. Like everything comes with a little amount of stress in the work week. I just want to remind everybody to give themselves grace. And it's whenever the stress starts to get extended and whenever your back is against the wall, that's when you should start to try to work that out. Try to use these tips and tools, because that's when that extended stress is going to definitely lead you to burnout. So notice the signs and give yourself grace. But when you see it's extended, please just make a plan to get rid of it, because you don't want to be burnt out.
Right. And for those of you out there, I want you to drop any closing thoughts in chat. I also want to remind you guys to give yourself grace and to realize that it's okay to be human. You don't have to be perfect, that, to focus on things that you can control, not the things that you can't, to recognize those signs. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, please reach out and have that conversation with, your spouse or your family, or have that conversation with your manager so that you guys can come up with some kind of plan of action before you hit that wall. Tara, are you tell me what we have in chat.
Yeah, everybody's chatting with each other at this point. So I love the camaraderie that we've grown out of these webinars and getting to kind of lean on each other, talk with each other. A lot of people we're seeing just stop and giving. So for those of you who are religious, stop and giving time to praise God. For those who aren't, you can definitely just stop and take that moment to reflect for yourself. And definitely some thank yous and some people really relating to this topic. So
yes, I feel like work-life balance is a hot topic, and I'm hoping that you guys are finding some strategies to help you move along to where you're not at that burnout stage. And so, we talked about what an imbalanced life is. We talk a little bit about what we think work-life balance is, and now our next one, please join us on July 15th, where we're going to talk about, okay, how do you stay balanced? How do you maintain that work-life balance? So we're going to talk about some tips and tricks for you guys, okay? So you guys don't have to worry, because I'm going to have a handout with all of the information that we talked about today. So you're going to find this handout under our teledevelopment page, under Success Series Webinars. You're going to click on it, and it's going to bring out all of the handouts from our past webinars. Also, you'll find this recording on YouTube. So what you're going to do is, in the search field, you're going to type in Louisiana State Civil Service, and you'll find us on YouTube. And we're not only there, you can find us in Leo too. So in the search field, you're going to type in webinar, and you'll find all of our past webinars, including the one today. So we really appreciate that you joined us this afternoon. We hope that you found our second series beneficial, and we hope to see you at series 3. So thank you for joining us, and don't forget to keep on learning.
Bye.